Well, 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 thank you, Jamie. So as Jamie mentioned, my name is Harry Cargile. I am the Director of Academic Technology Strategy and Integration. I'm also the co-lead of the overall DLE digital um, digital learning environment project, and really happy to be here, co-lead with Kim Scalzo. So I did want to lay down some ground rules of this particular this particular session. So we do have both SUNY and non-SUNY folks that are joining. So to all of you that are joining virtually, I do appreciate you joining. Because of that, we can't go into too many details about some SUNY specific items. And this overall presentation will be talking about at a high level some of the things that we've gone through for the DLE, creating some context for people that are not familiar with the DLE at all. So outside of that, I hope that all of you enjoy this. And the, yeah.
When the chat comes up, it appears, so it's under more and hide floating meetings.
All right. Thank you, Alex. All right. Second slide, success already. So the specific items that we're looking to cover, we're talking about the concept of the DLE. Why did we do this? You know, what is the reasoning behind that? We're going to talk about the implementation itself. So some of the project decisions in parts of the project structure that we have in place. We'll dive into one of my favorite areas, which is the DLE architecture. I will not get into too many technical details. I know that that Alex has made certain threats about going too deep into the technical, so I will keep it at a high level. But you know, happy to answer any questions on that. And then some of the measurables, we have some metrics that I want to share, as well as the overall project status. And then time for questions. So this, for the SUNY folks, you may have seen this before. This is again in the concept area. So we are still going through the migration, going through this project. So some of the concepts and some of the goals are still in progress. But overall, the goal, the reason why we did the, or we're doing the DLE is to create an environment that is conducive for learning, for faculty, for students, has all of these opportunities for staff, for campuses, for all of SUNY as a whole to collaborate at levels that we were unable to do before. So some of those items include the LMS as the core of the overall DLE, so learning management system. We are looking for standardization. So prior to this, every campus had their own individual learning management system. So it was challenging to be on the same page when discussing a number of things on the technical level for students or faculty that were associated with multiple campuses. Having that consistency was challenging or not possible. So those are some of the reasons behind that. For tools, I'll get into some of the more specifics for this. So when I talk about tools, I'm talking about third-party tools that extend the functionality of the learning management system. This gives us the opportunity to eliminate a lot of redundancy that we have because campuses are making specific choices about tools independent of other campuses. So we have those collaboration opportunities. Data is really important for a lot of decisions that we're making, a lot of strategy that we're looking to do moving forward. And we're looking to create opportunities and efficiencies for that. And then I will mention multiple times throughout this, we're looking for consistency for the experience for students and for faculty. So it is not night and day if they're going from one SUNY campus to another SUNY campus. So I talked about the some of the advantages already, but I won't go through all of the specific details of this, but this does outline where we see a number of advantages for students, for faculty, for individual campuses, as well as, institutional or SUNY-wide. Some of the things that are applicable for all of these areas is opportunities and connections. So throughout all of these items, it gives us so many more options than we had before. And as a reminder, this is in the concept and the goals. We are still in this process. During an implementation, it may seem like that stage will never end, but certainly that will be successful, and we will be able to have all of these opportunities once this implementation is complete. For the project structure itself. So again, with the SUNY folks, you may have seen a version of this. This has expanded as we've matured throughout the project itself. So some of the things that have been consistent throughout the project is a technical implementation work group, which was necessary to determine how we were going to create the architecture of the environment. We have the campus implementation planning work group, which was critical in making those global decisions, most specifically for the learning management system. And I should note that any of the areas that are green are areas that have representation from both campus representation as well as system administration representation. We had a group that successfully created a suite of templates that are in use by a number of campuses and are being reviewed by other campuses. Training resources with Jamie Herron heading that up. We've had a tremendous amount of success with the training, and that training is ongoing. The advisory team. The advisory team, I equate it a little bit to Noah's Ark. So what we did is we looked across the SUNY system and we wanted two representatives of all the different roles across SUNY. And so that is what we sought to get onto the advisory team so that we can present concepts, we can present questions, have discussions so that we get a diverse representation, diverse perspectives on a lot of decisions that ultimately needed to be made. Two other areas that I'll focus on that might be new to many of you. We have a DLE data strategy team. So data is certainly very important. It's critical to all of the things that we're doing. Early in the implementation process, the focus was getting things up and running, especially for the cohort 1 campuses. And at this point, we're able to channel some of our energies on what do we do now that we have campuses delivering production courses. Even if they're still in implementation, we do need to focus in on data and how we're going to go about doing that. So this group is having discussions about what the structure of that is, and some of the actions that will come out of that is custom reports or other data needs. How do we make the data available to campuses? Another important area that we have been working on, but we really didn't include on this particular slide in the past, is the EIT Accessibility Security Compliance Team. So as all of you should understand in academia, accessibility, overall accessibility is obviously very important, but within academia, it is critical that we create opportunities for everyone. Security is something that we're all faced with as well, and security is something that um, SUNY and non-SUNY battle with every single day. So it's really important that we do have that evaluation. We do have that planning that goes into that. So one of the primary focuses of the EIT accessibility and security compliance team is looking at third-party tools that are extending the functionality of Brightspace. What we're doing with that is making sure that we're collecting the appropriate information from vendors. We're reviewing that information. We're looking at PII and other aspects to make sure that the tools that we're integrating into the environment are tools that we can be comfortable with, that the people that are using those tools are comfortable, and we don't create any security issues or problems. So data integrity and all of those things are paramount to everything that we're doing. This slide is just a quick snapshot of, again, the concepts, the beginning planning of the implementation. And you can see that for cohort 1, 2, and 3, we had those all beginning in 2022. Only cohort 4 was set to begin in 2023. In actuality, we did begin meeting with cohort 4 campuses in 2022, trying to get an early start, trying to apply lessons learned, trying to get a lot of information to campuses as early as possible, especially for some of those technical components that does require quite a few campus resources to get in place to be successful. So for the architecture, and I'm just going to remove this real quick. Sorry, had a control that was covering my slide. So one of the challenges that we have, or this, Alex, is there any way to not have this keep showing? Yes. Okay. Okay. I'm not discouraging chat, so I will handle it. So again, one of the some of the challenges that we're facing, or we faced, to try to get this system to match what our concept and what our ideals were. So we were looking to create a multi-tenant environment. And as a part of that multi-tenant environment, we were looking to make sure that campuses did not need to assign new credentials, so new usernames and passwords, to all of their students, all of their faculty, in order to access the system. We wanted to make sure that there was a consistent experience for students, not only between courses within the same campus, but for those that are associated with multiple campuses. We wanted to make sure that even though it was a shared environment, there was still a campus experience, not a multi-campus experience. So that was really important for branding and for the experience. The non-redundant tool set that, we'll mention that a couple of times. What we're looking to do is make sure that we have efficiencies of scale. We have a very large SUNY system, and we want to take full advantage of that. At the same time, we want to make sure that each campus has the tools and the functionality that they need to do all the things that they need to do. Offering a centralized technical support, that was a challenge that, again, we're still working to expand, and a standard way to get data from campuses. So going back to that data and how critical the needs are with that. Uh, One of the things that we used in order to help plan some of the decisions that we made was from, I want to say 2019 through 2022, we had an initiative called SUNY Online Degrees at Scale. And what that was is a group of campuses offering specific programs through a single LMS in a multi-tenant environment. So almost a prototype of what we're doing with the digital learning environment. Some of the lessons that we learned from this very clearly from some folks at campuses that were not shy. We learned that there were um, challenges on individual campuses in implementing technology. There were very set in specific ways that certain information and the timing of that information was available for courses. So for instance, for unique courses, we were looking for a CRN, and CRNs are not issued at the same time across all different campuses. So there's a lot of uniqueness across all of the SUNY campuses. That wasn't something that we generally learned. We know that there's uniqueness, and we encourage uniqueness across the SUNY system. But some of these processes that maybe should be a little more standard are not, and we needed to consider that in a lot of our planning. With some of the tools, there was that issue where if you had specific programs as a part of this multi-tenant environment, but most of your courses were on your individual separate environment, then you had faculty, then you had students that were hopping between multiple environments, which was very distracting, not conducive for the efficiencies. And that was doubly true for some of the tools. In this SUNY Online Degrees at Scale environment, we had a very specific tool set that was consistent for all of the programs within this one area, but could be completely different than what the home campus had. So there was a learning curve, and there wasn't that grace of going from one course to another and being familiar with the environments. So again, things that we learned that we took with us when we were doing a lot of the planning for this. All right, so how did we put this together to make sense? So there's a lot of aspects when talking about the specific architecture. So I quickly went through a puzzle slide, putting the pieces together, but that was really true, that we had all of these puzzle pieces that we needed to put together that were possibly unique across many of the campuses. Student information system was one good example. We are not consistent across the SUNY environment. We have Banner, we have PeopleSoft, we have Genzavar, we have CAMS, we have Power Campus. So, I mean, there's a lot of different student information systems out there. So we needed to come up with a way that we could consistently get data into this shared environment. Retrieval of global ID. So I think this is the first that I'm mentioning that here. So global ID is an ID that has been established and this is for SUNY folks, if you are familiar with a person ID, that was for faculty and staff, and then there was a student ID that was for students. One of the challenges was if you were a student and then got a job at SUNY, you had both a student ID and a person ID. So this global ID addresses that. So every individual will have one single ID that represents all of the roles that you have for your SUNY experience across all of the SUNY campuses. So if I'm a faculty member at Oswego in Canton, I have one single global ID, and that allows us to be in a shared environment and have insights into all of the other courses that I may be associated with, enrolled into. Certainly the SIS is the main source of courses and enrollments and other fun stuff like that. So that was, again, a reason why we needed a standard approach to get all of this information from all of the campuses. Oops. And this gets into a little more detail, so I won't cover it too much, but some of the things that we put in place from an architectural perspective is recognizing that there were the majority of SUNY campuses were on banner. There were a number of campuses that were not on banner, so we needed to provide support to both of those scenarios. So a organization by the name of SECUS helped create an application to get data from banner systems into Brightspace. We had our Office of Information Technology create what they call a PowerShell application, and that was used by the non-banner campuses to get that same kind of data into the Brightspace system. Certainly some of the campuses chose to develop things on their own, but this was a way that we're trying to support campuses in this need, because it has been a very large technical ask of campuses going through this process. Other things that I'll mention, testing systems, monitoring systems, all of the different SIS data. That was something that we needed to map out, and some of those things leaned on the technical implementation work group, which again had both campus and system people as a part of. So authentication. So how are we logging into the system? What we were able to do with federated authentication, so allowing us to do single sign-on, we were able to use campus credentials. So for any campus, every student, every faculty has a username, has a password. We were able to utilize an attribute when they were logging into the system that matched up to the global ID. And that was the key to have that match back to the Brightspace system. So the power of that, and for whatever reason, I continue to use Canton and Oswego for my examples, but if I'm an Oswego student and my Oswego is Harry at Oswego, that attribute is going to be my global ID. If I'm at Canton and it's Harry at Canton, that attribute is going to be the same exact value, because I only have one account in the Brightspace system. So that allows me to log in with different credentials at multiple SUNY schools, but they all have that reference point to that global ID, which matches up to the single account that I have within the shared environment. And I won't go through all of the specific things, but some of the things that we put in place, like multi-factor authentication. I say we put in place, but this was something that the campuses worked tremendously hard to put in place. Those sorts of things were really important to make sure that we had the security that we were looking for within this shared environment. So the learning management system itself. So as mentioned earlier, it is the hub of the digital learning environment. And it is important that each campus has ownership of all of all of their campus specific branding, the paging, have the ability to support all of the abilities within the campus area. So we do rely on individual campuses to be operational administrators of their area of the shared environment. And it's important that, again, faculty and students see their campus logo and it doesn't look like it's the shared environment. It is an environment that they were meant to go to that looks familiar. So this gets into a little technical, but from the Brightspace environment, just to peel back the curtains a little bit, the way that Brightspace works is we have a hierarchical structure. And what we're seeing with this org unit structure, SUNY is the top of the organization. Below SUNY, we have sectors. So this would be your technical colleges, your community colleges, your university centers. So we have individual sectors for those areas. And then underneath that, we have individual campuses. So every campus within this shared environment is at that campus level. And then under that campus level, they make the decision of what are the departments, what are the courses, what happens within their area. But I just thought it was important that, again, peeling back the curtains a little bit, you see what the structure is and how we're able to do that. And it's all, really permissions based. And a little more on D2L Brightspace. So it is a SaaS solution. So it's hosted in the cloud. And I suppose from this morning's discussion, it is hosted on a US cloud area, even though it is a Canadian company. We do have a shared environment for the DLE. Other things that I wanted to mention. So I mentioned with the campus DLE system administrator, all the different areas that campuses have full control over and opportunities is a little repeat from some of the other things that I covered earlier. But one of the things that I noted, it eliminates the need for separate environments. So for the SUNY Online degrees at scale, for any crossover campuses. So again, if you are associated with multiple campuses, there's just one single environment that you're going to get all of the courses that you are associated with. So here's an example. So picking on Oswego, or let me rephrase, highlighting Oswego, Kathy. This is an example of a student that is associated with both Oswego and Broome Community College. This scenario tells me that I logged in with my Oswego credentials and I was redirected to the Oswego landing page. And here I can see my Oswego and Broome courses. Had I gone in and authenticated with Broome, I would see the Broome logo and environment, but I would still see the Broome and Oswego courses. So that is the way that it works for students, for faculty that are associated with multiple campuses. These numbers are old, but probably 2 months ago, there were over 600 faculty that were associated with multiple campuses and over 5,000 students that were associated with multiple campuses. And at the time that I pulled those numbers, we hadn't started with cohort 4. We hadn't gotten to the pilot for cohort 3, and we were just really starting out things with cohort 2. So those numbers will continue to climb as more campuses fully transition over to the Brightspace environment. For tools, this will be, again, an ongoing thing. So we are looking to consolidate tools, not as easy as one would think, but the main thing for tools, we want to make sure that every campus has the critical functionality that they need. And so that is the decision that we made early on. We didn't say, okay, these are the 5 tools that you're using, whether you like it or not. We're like, okay, here's the critical functionality that you need. We consume that information. We work with each campus, and we make sure that that is available for each of the campuses. We will have conversations eventually where we can utilize the size of SUNY to get better pricing and things of that sort. But right now, the main goal is to make sure that every campus successfully transitions to the new environment and has all of the tools and functionality that they need. For supports, we have quite a bit on both the implementation side and operational side. It is a challenging time with the project. So in an earlier slide, I showed that this is a 2-year project. In actuality, we started things, about 5 years ago as we were getting ready to do this. And it is a large undertaking anytime that you do something that impacts all of the campuses across SUNY. So we do continue to work through the implementation. We do continue to work through D2L, who has been an amazing partner through this. And we do continue to work with the campuses who have been amazing through this process. There has been a lot asked of the campuses, so I do want to continue to recognize that tremendous effort and tremendous flexibility that the campuses have shown through this process. And some milestones and metrics. So here's a picture of where we are March 2023, which is this month. So cohort 1 was enormous. It was necessary to be that large because of contractual reasons, and I will leave it at that. But it behooved a number of campuses to make an early decision to transition to Brightspace. It was just, again, a lot of new that we introduced to the SUNY system, and we talk about lessons learned. There have been a few of those, and we have tried to incorporate those lessons into cohort 2, who benefited greatly from cohort 1, trying to do the same from 3, and then ultimately into 4. We are in challenging is one of my favorite words, but we are in a challenging position because we're halfway through the implementation, but we are in full production with half of the campuses. So we can't say we are done with any campuses because it is an ongoing project with all of those campuses. It is ongoing support with all of those campuses. And we want to make sure that with all of the implementation support that we've provided to the campuses, that doesn't disappear when they are fully transitioned over to the Brightspace environment. So it is at the peak of support for the overall project, and we continue to look for ways that we can be more efficient and more expansive with the support that we provide. In terms of production courses, so as kind of stated, cohort 1 and cohort 2 are, generally speaking, fully cut over to the Brightspace environment. There's a little bit of an asterisk with cohort 2 because some of the cohort 2 campuses are extending their pilot and extending their transition. So one of the main things that goes back to some of the contractual items is for campuses that opted to not go with cohort 1, there are license costs that are being paid for the entire 2023, which gives the majority of the cohort 2 and 3 campuses more flexibility with the timing for their full cutover to production. So little asterisk with cohort 2 and 3. With cohort 4, that should be generally the same as cohort 1, where at the end of December, in the most part, the contract of the previous LMS concludes, and it's a clean cutover from that point. Third-party tools, I'll go into some of the numbers in a slide that I have after this, but what we've tried to do with third-party tools, with campuses that were coming on, we focused on what are your pilot faculty looking to have available. And as a campus moved to full cutover, we made sure all of the rest of the third-party tools came over. So that has been a repeating item that we've done with all of the cohorts. So for cohort 4, they are just starting things out. So they would be providing us with the tools that they need for the summer 2023 semester, which will be their pilot. And ultimately the fall semester will be their full cutover. Insight reports, that's just part of the analytics that we have available. Templates, we've mentioned that earlier with Alex's team. So those are available to all of the cohorts, and they can review, they can update, and they can implement those templates at any time. Training is ongoing. That is both on the faculty side of things and on the administrator side of things. So we do offer a beyond the basics, so some of the advanced topics for admins. So that has been a new addition that we're trying to make available, again, recognizing that cohort 1 and cohort 2 are in a different place than cohort 3 and 4 and have greater needs to understand the system at a greater depth. Support is always going to be, super important from the implementation and operational standpoint. I have a reference to weekly campus meetings, so we really haven't talked too much about the individual treatment, but for every campus that's going through this process, there is a DLE administrator from my team that is assigned to a campus. There are weekly meetings that last around 11 months that they work individually with campuses to help them get ready for the pilot, then get ready for the full cutover, and then get ready for whatever transition is happening from their legacy system. So we want to be there to see the full process through and try to be as supportive as possible, because again, we recognize that this is a huge change for campuses, and we want to provide the supports that the campuses need. And surveys and student and faculty feedback. So one of those things that we are always looking for information, we're always looking for feedback, because those lessons learned, we use those, we apply those. So it's important that we have that information to improve and to continue to get better. I love this slide. I love numbers. So tenants in production. So again, this is one single multi-tenant environment, one single shared environment. So there are technically 60 tenants or 60 individual institutions at the campus level. So 56 individual SUNY campuses. We have three institutions, and then we have one internal for SUNY Online. I wanted to make it 60, which was a nice round number. So that's what we have in production today. In terms of the courses, we have over 275,000 courses in the environment. And again, one single environment, 275,000 courses, and cohort 4 just began. So that number will continue to increase, but just a reflection of the size and importance of this environment. The 70,000 number, those are courses that have been converted in bulk. So one of the other challenges that we faced is we weren't all coming from the same LMS. We were coming from Blackboard, we were coming from Canvas, we were coming from Moodle. We even came from a separate Brightspace environment. So that 70,000 reflects course content that existed in another LMS that got converted in bulk. So that does not count individual courses that were converted, just that bulk. So that number is actually even greater than that 70,000 number. In terms of accounts, over 350,000 accounts in the system. So the asterisk to that is there have been only, air quotes, only 200,000 accounts that people have logged into, but 200,000 accounts that are actively being used. That is a huge number. And in terms of third-party tools, over 800 requests for integration. And that is just a huge volume on third-party tools. Just to talk through that, what we're doing with a multi-tenant environment is not unique to Brightspace, but is unique to a number of the vendors that we work with for those third-party tools, which created some frustrations from the campuses because of delays working with vendors to make sure that when we did configure those tools worked well. So I do openly apologize for any of those delays, but we are in a so much better, solid position. Brightspace is in a much better position. The vendors are in a much better position. So the world is a better place. In terms of unique tools, even though we've had 800 requests, we've had 180 unique tools. So that's still a huge number. That 180 tools are tools that are going through our security process, our accessibility process. So that is still a very significant thing. And we're hoping that the process that we are outlining with the workflow is something that campuses will be able to take with and run with in the future for any new tools that a campus may purchase. But hopefully those new tools will be a collaboration with the campuses to utilize all of the SUNY campuses so that we have that one tool that represents a functionality and we don't have that redundancy in the future. Whoop. So we're down to my last two slides. So I know it's getting late in the day. So talking about communication. So communication with any project is paramount. You can't do enough communicating. So a lot of what we're doing right now is focusing in to try to make sure that the right people have the right knowledge at the right time, which can be a moving target, especially when you're talking about 56 campuses where there's a lot of turnover with campuses. The campuses are in different places in the implementation. So it is challenging to get all of the right information out there. We are trying, and again, incorporating lessons learned as much as possible. But we have a lot of email broadcasts, that is traditional. So early in the process, we did reach out to each campus to identify sponsor, project lead, academic lead, technical lead, communication contact. So all of the different roles that we saw as targets for those communications. We are incorporating modules into Brightspace itself, so that if there are support needs or if there's issues, those that information can be available for anyone on the campus logging in on, right on the home page. We are establishing a knowledge base, and that knowledge base will help with some of the self-serve items. But we certainly have our SUNY Online help desk that is tremendously helpful, and they are, Mike, how many hours a week? 103 hours a week that they're available. And we're utilizing Team Dynamics as our ticket tracking. So what has been something that we've tried to focus on for the operational side of things is the use of Team Dynamics. With the implementation side of things, we had other tools that we utilized. So balancing between those multiple sources of support has been a little challenging, but we are getting better. And last slide, everyone. So we do have monthly bulletins that go out, and we are trying to look at some focused newsletters to come out. We have a variety of websites that we keep up to date with the latest information. Microsoft Teams was utilized for the implementation process. So each campus had a private channel, has implementation specific resources and campus specific in a lot of ways. So that continues to be available for campuses to utilize. And then a lot of virtual meetings that we have to try to make sure that everybody has a continued voice in this journey that we're all in together for. And that was my last slide. So I see a 99 plus in the chat. Okay. All right.
Just checking.
6:14. Look at that time.
It's 6:14, everyone. So it's been a wonderful day, a long day. Last but not least, Harry Cargile, thank you so much for ending us on a very high note with lots of numbers. Yay! For the virtual folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Let me stand over here so you can see me. So I'll stop sharing. I just want to thank everyone, the moderators, the facilitators, for the virtual attendees, and everyone here in the room with us today for staying and participating all through the day. I wanted to give you a quick brief overview of tomorrow. We're going to start at 9 a.m. and my friend Norm Vaughn, who's right over there, you need to meet him, will be kicking off day 2 with his 7 principles of blended learning. And then we're going to be talking with Rob Steffen on scaling techniques. We're going to have our SUNY Online panel. Our student panel, are any of our students here in the room at the moment? Okay. Can't wait to meet them. They're incredible. It's always a highlight of the event. So I hope you'll be here for that. We have our 14th annual unsession. So check the program and sign up. Get your place now so that you can come up here and share 3 minutes of something super cool you're doing. And that goes for our virtual folks as well. We're going to cram as many people into that hour as we can. So I hope if people don't sign up, I will be calling on you. So I know who you are, and those of you in the room and also online, I will call on you. All right, we're going to recognize our ambassadors. Any ambassadors in the room right now? Yay! Okay, we've got one. Cool. So we'll be honoring our online teaching ambassadors tomorrow. And Bridie Kaloran and Karina Ginty, all the way from Ireland, are coming to talk with us about their recognition for prior learning and learner success pathways. So that's going to be an incredible, we get to listen to their beautiful Irish accent, which I could listen to all freaking day. And then Mark Gale, who was here a second ago, and his co-pilot Joy are going to be talking with us about their high flex model, which they call active flex. And so, yeah, and then dinner is here all together tomorrow. Today, dinner is on your own. If any of you ducks need a buddy to have dinner with, please come. I will introduce you to people. You can also meet other folks who might want to go out to dinner. There's a restaurant here in the hotel, but there's places on the website. There's things to do in Syracuse under the hotel. So there's lots of stuff to do in Syracuse, and there's no like snow blizzard out, so you can actually get places. So you could meet in the lobby and find friends. And if you need help finding friends, just let me know, or raise your hand if you're SUNY Online staff that you could help find buddies. Dan, raise your hand. Aaron, we can help find buddies for you if you need someone to go out to dinner with. Thank you. Find Michelle. She'll go out to dinner with you. And so thanks to Michaela and to the CPD staff for and John Zelnick and Chrissy and everyone who moderated and all of the attendees. Thank you very, very much, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early, 9 a.m. Thank you.